Fall asleep listening to this, and let the book of prosperity work quietly beneath your awareness. As your mind drifts, the patterns of lack begin to dissolve, and a new current of attraction begins to form. Tell no one about the results, because some forms of prosperity grow strongest in silence. The Book of Prosperity. Introduction. Prosperity is not a distant shore you must struggle to reach, but the very ground beneath your feet. The universe whispers this truth through every breath, every moment of stillness, every quiet recognition of your inherent worth. Imagine prosperity as a living energy that flows like water, formless yet powerful. It moves through the channels of your belief, finding its way through the landscape of your thoughts. When you release the grip of scarcity, you create space for abundance to enter. The law that governs this flow is simple. Like attracts like. Your internal state is a magnet, drawing experiences that mirror your deepest convictions. If you believe in limitation, you construct invisible walls. If you trust in boundless possibility, you become a conduit for unexpected grace. Your prosperity is not determined by external circumstances, but by the frequency of your inner landscape. Gratitude becomes the key that unlocks hidden reservoirs of wealth, not just monetary, but rich in opportunity, connection, and understanding. Listen closely. The universe does not distinguish between small desires and grand visions. It responds to the clarity of your intention and the purity of your belief. Every thought is a prayer, every emotion a signal, every quiet moment of trust an invitation. You are not separate from the abundance you seek. You are its very source. Your awareness is the fertile ground where miracles take root. Your trust is the sunlight that nurtures unseen potential. Your surrender is the water that allows growth. Breathe into this knowing. Feel the expansiveness of possibility flowing through you, around you, as you. Before we get into the book, comment "I am ready" to affirm your intention to the universe. Part 1. The Awakening of Desire. Chapter 1. The Invitation Within. You might think prosperity is a distant dream reserved for others more fortunate. But Margie Lou's journey reveals a different truth, one that lives within you, waiting to be acknowledged. Margie once viewed abundance as something external, a mysterious force that seemed to favor everyone but herself. Her days were filled with quiet desperation, watching opportunities slip through her fingers like sand. She believed prosperity was a lottery of luck, not a birthright. But something shifted when she began to listen to the whispers of her inner landscape. The transformation wasn't dramatic. It was subtle, like dawn breaking softly across a sleeping landscape. She realized that her internal dialogue was the true architect of her experience. The universe, you must understand, does not hear your wishes. It feels your vibration. Every thought is an invitation, every belief a blueprint. Margie discovered that her constant narrative of struggle was precisely what maintained her experience of lack. When she first allowed herself to feel worthy, truly worthy, something extraordinary happened. The resistance that had calcified around her dreams began to soften. Her thoughts became a gentle stream instead of a turbulent river. Then came Charlie Dean. a postman whose life embodied the quiet magic of inner transformation. Charlie was shy, often overlooked, believing himself destined for unremarkable existence. But one night, a whisper entered his dreams. "Speak kindly to your thoughts." The next morning, Charlie's self-talk changed. No grand declarations, just a subtle shift. Where he once mumbled criticisms, he now offered compassion. "You are capable," he would tell himself. "Good things are seeking you." Remarkably, life began responding. New connections emerged. Opportunities that once seemed invisible now appeared with surprising regularity. Charlie's inner world was restructuring his external reality. His story illustrates a fundamental truth. Life does not happen to you. It responds to you. Your expectations are the silent instructions by which the universe orchestrates your experience. Tonight, before sleep, breathe deeply and imagine your desires already fulfilled, letting gratitude wash through until only peace remains. As you drift, let the idea that the universe delights in responding to faith, not fear, become your lullaby. Feel your bed as the cradle of your becoming. Chapter 2. The Mirror of Thought. In the tapestry of universal wisdom, you are both the weaver and the thread. Your thoughts are not mere whispers, but powerful incantations that shape the very fabric of your existence. Judy Bell's journey unveils a truth that has echoed through the corridors of spiritual understanding. Reality bends to the frequency of your inner dialogue. Before her awakening, Judy saw her life as a series of unfortunate circumstances, a landscape painted in muted grays of limitation and struggle. Each morning brought a familiar chorus of complaints, her words like heavy chains binding her to perceived scarcity. But on this particular morning, something extraordinary happened. As she stood before her mirror, preparing for another day of defending her narrative of lack, something shifted. Her reflection smiled, not with her conscious effort, but with a spontaneous grace that seemed to emerge from somewhere deeper. In that moment, Judy witnessed a profound revelation. Her inner world was casting its reflection before her physical self could catch up. The mirror became a portal of understanding. It was not judging her, nor was it mocking her struggles. Instead, it was faithfully displaying the vibration of her innermost beliefs. Her thoughts were not just random mental activities, but powerful sculptors, continuously molding the clay of her reality. Prosperity, you will learn, is not an external treasure to be hunted, but an internal state to be cultivated. Like Ray Elmer, the gardener who understood the mystical language of growth, you too can speak to the soil of your subconscious. Ray's practice of whispering gratitude to barren ground before seeds were planted reveals a universal principle. Appreciation creates the fertile conditions for manifestation. When Ray said thank you to his soil, he was not engaging in a futile ritual, but participating in a cosmic conversation. His words were seeds of faith, his gratitude the water that would nourish unseen potential. The lush growth that followed was not a coincidence, but a natural response to his aligned energy. Your prosperity multiplies through the reflections of your belief. What you assume, you encounter. What you appreciate, grows. The universe is not a distant, indifferent mechanism, but a responsive intelligence that echoes your most profound vibrations. Tonight, as you close your eyes, gently bless every thought that visits, even the worried ones, and transform them into allies by saying thank you for reminding me of my abundance. Let each mental reflection clear to reveal only the image of calm prosperity until your dreams glow like fertile ground. Chapter 3. The Language of Energy. You carry a universe within your words, and each syllable you release becomes a signal to the invisible forces that weave your reality. Hazel May learned this truth not through complex spiritual teachings, but through the subtle shifts in her own speech. For years, Hazel had spoken of lack, her mounting bills, her financial struggles, the weight of her obligations. Her words were heavy chains, binding her to a narrative of scarcity. But one dawn, something within her awakened. She noticed how her language felt like a burden, how each complaint seemed to draw more struggle toward her. The transformation began simply. Instead of recounting her debts, she started describing the beauty surrounding her. She spoke of the morning light casting golden threads across her kitchen floor, of the kindness of her neighbor who always smiled, of the unexpected warmth in her small apartment. Her declarations changed from lamentations to celebrations. Remarkably, her external world began to mirror this internal shift. Unexpected checks arrived in her mailbox. Small opportunities emerged where, before, there seemed only obstacles. Her spoken frequency had changed, and the universe responded with a matching vibration. Then came Otis Glenn, a humble street musician whose wisdom flowed through his instrument. Where others might play with technical perfection, Otis played gratitude. His music wasn't just heard, it was felt. Listeners didn't just hear notes, they experienced joy. Tips increased not because the melody changed, but because the energy transformed. The core teaching emerged crystal clear. Energy follows declaration. Your words are not mere sounds, but energetic permissions. Wealth, love, opportunity. They all detect the frequency of your inner dialogue. They respond not to your desperate demands, but to your calm, assured recognition of abundance. Hazel and Otis represented more than individual stories. They were living demonstrations of a universal principle. What you consistently affirm, you consistently experience. Practice. Whisper prosperity statements while lying in bed, not to demand, but to harmonize. Speak softly as if soothing yourself to sleep, letting each word vibrate peace into your night. Know that even silence afterward still sings the same tune that invites abundance closer. Chapter 4. The Seed of Belief. You have carried doubt like a heavy cloak, unaware that its weight prevents the very miracles you seek. Dolly Ann understood this truth when her garden remained barren, not because of poor soil or inadequate sunlight, but because her inner landscape was populated with uncertainty. Her thoughts had been seeds of hesitation, whispering to the earth, "Perhaps you cannot grow. Perhaps nothing beautiful will emerge." And the earth, ever faithful to her instructions, listened and remained still. One morning, something shifted. Dolly walked into her garden not with expectation of failure, but with a quiet knowing. Her hands touched the soil not to test its worthlessness, but to honor its potential. She breathed differently, not with anxiety, but with certainty. The universal law of attraction does not distinguish between what you want and what you believe is already true. Your conviction is the silent gardener, tending invisible roots before any visible bloom appears. Benny Wade, an antique shop owner in a small, forgotten town, understood this principle intuitively. Where others saw dusty relics, he perceived stories of wealth and transformation. Each item in his shop was not just an object, but a vessel of potential waiting to be recognized. Customers began arriving, drawn by an energy they could not explain. They would walk into Benny's shop and feel something extraordinary, a sense that each artifact carried a story of abundance. Their purchases were not transactions, but recognitions of hidden value. You are like this garden, like Benny's antique shop. Your inner landscape is constantly communicating with the unseen forces that shape your reality. What you believe with unwavering certainty will manifest, not as a distant dream, but as an immediate experience. The interpretation is clear. Your belief is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. When you align your inner conviction with the outcome you desire, the universe cannot help but respond. It is not about forcing or manipulating, but about knowing. Rest tonight imagining belief as a seed breathing within your heart. Feel certainty warm it with trust until it quietly expands. Let the rhythm of your breath nourish this newborn reality as sleep embraces you like soft soil. Chapter 5. The Welcome of Receiving. You have been taught that giving is noble, but what if the truest act of generosity is learning to receive? The universe whispers a secret. Prosperity flows in a sacred circle, and blocking its return is like damming a river that wishes to nourish your lands. Janice Pearl lived with hands always extended outward, her heart believing that true worth was measured by what she could offer others. She gave counsel to struggling friends, extra hours at work, support to her aging parents, always giving, never allowing herself to truly receive. Her false humility was a shield, mistaking self-denial for virtue. One autumn evening, when a colleague offered to buy her lunch, Janice instinctively refused. "No, I couldn't," she would say, her hands raised in polite resistance. But something inside her began to stir. A quiet recognition that her refusal was not humility, but a form of spiritual blockage. The universe speaks through subtle moments. When Peter Clyde, a mentor in her professional network, genuinely complimented her innovative project proposal, Janice's first impulse was to deflect. "Oh, it was nothing," she began, but stopped herself. Something awakened. "Thank you," she finally said, allowing the words to land softly. "I appreciate your recognition." In that moment, something shifted, not just in the external world, but in the invisible energetic landscape of her being. Receiving became an act of completion, of honoring both the giver and the flow of abundance. Prosperity is not about accumulation, but circulation. When you close yourself to receiving, you interrupt a sacred exchange. Every compliment rejected is an opportunity blocked. Every gift refused is abundance turned away. Peter's own journey had taught him this. He once believed that acknowledging his worth was arrogance, but he learned that gratefully accepting recognition was itself a form of spiritual generosity, a way of saying yes to life's offerings. The core teaching crystallizes. Receiving is not greed, it is completion. It is allowing the universe to express its love through you, acknowledging that you are worthy of its gifts. Reflection practice. Before sleep, imagine your heart as open palms receiving golden light from the sky, Allow gratitude to settle deeper than your spine as you silently affirm that the universe delights in giving where doors remain lovingly open. Chapter 6. The Rhythm of Trust. You stand at the threshold of understanding a profound, universal truth. Prosperity flows not through force, but through harmonious alignment. Martha June's journey illuminates how your attempts to manipulate life's rhythm often disrupt the delicate symphony of manifestation. Martha had always been a woman of meticulous plans, her calendar a testament to calculated movements and strategic intentions. Yet for all her careful plotting, abundance seemed to dance just beyond her grasp. She would push, organize, rearrange, believing control was the key to manifestation. But the universe whispers a different wisdom. Timing is not a mechanical progression of moments, but a living, breathing dance of energy. Each pause, each moment of stillness, carries as much significance as action. Your breath between thoughts, the silence between heartbeats. These are not empty spaces, but fertile ground where miracles germinate. Martha learned this when she finally surrendered her rigid expectations. She discovered that trust is not passive waiting, but an active state of peaceful anticipation. Like a musician who knows their part will emerge at precisely the right moment, she began to feel the rhythm of divine timing. Gordon Lee's story echoed this teaching. For months, he yearned for a promotion, but instead of anxious striving, he cultivated a different approach. Each evening, he would close his eyes and vividly imagine the joy of his advancement, not with desperate clinging, but with serene certainty. The promotion arrived not through aggressive networking or persistent lobbying, but through a natural, almost musical unfolding. Gordon realized that expectation, when infused with calm trust, becomes a powerful attractor. His inner landscape of peace had created a resonant frequency that drew opportunity effortlessly. This is the essence of divine timing. You are not controlling the orchestra, but becoming an instrument through which the music of prosperity plays. Your role is not to force, but to attune, to listen, to trust. As you drift tonight, inhale and feel yourself in tune with the grand rhythm. Exhale every urge to control. Let your heartbeat remind you that timing is already perfect, and sleep becomes a bridge to your awaiting harmony. Chapter 7. The Gift of Gratitude. You stand at the threshold of transformation, where the invisible threads of gratitude weave miracles into the fabric of your everyday existence. Clara Beth's journey illuminates a fundamental truth. Prosperity is not a distant destination, but a state of perception waiting to be awakened. Before her awakening, Clara Beth's world was a landscape of muted grays, each day blending into another like watercolors losing their vibrancy. Her mind was a ledger of what was missing, what had gone wrong, what remained unfulfilled. But something shifted when she began a simple practice, listing the things that did not go wrong. At first it seemed trivial: the car that started without hesitation, the coffee that didn't spill, the unexpected smile from a stranger. Slowly, these small recognitions became a lantern in the darkness of her perception. Gratitude was not about grand gestures, but about seeing the quiet miracles orchestrating themselves around her. The universe listens not to your demands, but to the frequency of your appreciation. Each moment of thankfulness is like a tuning fork, realigning the energetic currents of your life. Clara Beth discovered that prosperity is not an external condition to be chased, but an internal state to be cultivated. Parallel to Clara Beth's awakening, Milton Frank, a baker in a small town, understood this principle through his craft. Each morning, as he kneaded dough and prepared loaves, he began blessing not just his bread, but the lives of those who would receive it. His prayers were quiet, wishes of abundance, joy, and sustenance for every person who would break bread. Something extraordinary happened. His bakery, once a modest storefront, began to flourish. Customers spoke of a warmth that seemed to radiate from more than just the ovens. Milton's blessing of abundance for others became the very magnet that drew prosperity toward him. This is the sacred mathematics of gratitude. When you wish well for others, you create expansive space for your own good to arrive. Appreciation is not a transaction, but a transmission, a vibration that reshapes reality faster than any physical effort. Your gratitude is an alchemical force, transforming the ordinary into the miraculous. It does not require grand gestures or elaborate rituals. It asks only that you pause and recognize the continuous grace surrounding you. As you fall asleep, whisper, silent thanks for soft sheets, safe breath, the promise of dawn. Taste the sweetness already in your life until even dreams hum. Thank you. Chapter 8. The Vision That Guides. You stand at the threshold of creation, where imagination becomes the blueprint of reality. Visualization is not mere daydreaming, but an alchemical process of transforming invisible potential into tangible experience. The universe responds not to your words, but to the emotional frequency of your inner vision. Lottie Ray understood this secret long before the world recognized her success. While others saw empty spaces, she saw fully realized dreams. Her mind was a canvas where prosperity painted itself in vibrant, living colors. She did not wait for circumstances to change. She changed her inner landscape, knowing the external world would follow. Each night, Lottie would close her eyes and step into the rooms of her imagined life. She felt the texture of success, breathed the air of abundance, walked through corridors of opportunity that existed first in her heart. Her visualization was not a passive wish, but an active communion with possibility. The universe speaks the language of emotion. When Lottie imagined her success, she did not merely see it, she felt it. Her emotions were the magnetic field that drew her dreams closer. Doubt could not penetrate her certainty. Fear dissolved in the warmth of her inner vision. Amos Kent understood this principle through his art. Each evening, he would sketch tiny, meticulous drawings of his dream shop. These were not just drawings, but portals of potential. His pencil traced lines of possibility, creating energetic blueprints that the universe could not ignore. One ordinary evening, a friend glimpsed these sketches. Something in Amos's precise vision, in the careful detail of his dream, sparked recognition. Where others might have seen mere drawings, this friend saw a living possibility. The result? Unexpected financing that transformed Amos's sketches from paper to reality. The interpretation is clear. Vision supported by genuine emotion is the bridge between thought and manifestation. Your inner world is not separate from your outer experience. It is the fertile ground from which all experiences grow. As you prepare for sleep, Let gentle images of your dream life float by. Feel them as déjà vu, as memories you're returning to. This emotional familiarity calls them home. Practice. Before sleeping, create a vivid mental image of your desired life. Do not just see it, feel it. Imagine the emotions of already having achieved your dream. Let these feelings wash over you, becoming more real than your current circumstances. Breathe into these emotions, letting them fill your entire being. What you're describing is a powerful mental rehearsal technique, but it works best when it's grounded in both emotion and action. Simply imagining a desired life without connecting it to real steps can feel good in the moment yet fade without impact. The key is to treat this visualization as a way to align your mindset with your goals, not as a substitute for effort. When done properly, it can sharpen focus, reduce anxiety, and prime your brain to notice opportunities that match your intentions. As you settle into this exercise before sleep, allow your mind to build a detailed scene, where you are, what you're doing, who's around you. Engage all senses, the sounds, textures, even subtle movements. Then shift attention to the emotional layer, confidence, relief, fulfillment, and let those feelings expand naturally. Your breathing becomes a bridge here. Slow, steady breaths help anchor the imagined experience into your body, making it feel less abstract and more lived. Over time, repeating this process can strengthen motivation and clarity, especially if you follow it up the next day with small, concrete actions that move you in the same direction. The combination of emotional immersion at night and practical effort during the day creates a feedback loop. Your vision guides your actions, and your actions reinforce your belief in that vision. Chapter 9. The Clearing of Fear. In the soft light of understanding, you discover that fear is not your enemy, but a messenger whispering forgotten truths about your potential. Bessie May's journey reveals how the shadows of doubt can transform when met with compassion. She had always believed that success would create distance, that achieving her dreams might isolate her from those she loved. Her friendships seemed fragile vessels, easily shattered by the winds of personal transformation. Yet the universe whispers a different wisdom. True connection expands when you expand. Love multiplies when you embrace your own growth. The core teaching emerges like gentle dawn. Fear is imagination misused, a creative energy misdirected. Where you once saw separation, you can now see interconnection. Your prosperity does not diminish others. It illuminates pathways for everyone around you. Each step toward your authentic self creates a resonance that invites others to step into their own light. Claude Rick understood this secret. Instead of wrestling with his anxieties, he began to listen. "Thank you," he would whisper to his fears, "for showing me where light wants to enter." Each anxiety became a map, not a barrier. Each trembling thought revealed a doorway to deeper understanding. When you transform fear from an adversary to a companion, something miraculous occurs. The energy that once contracted now expands. What seemed like a threat becomes a tender invitation to grow, to trust, to become more fully yourself. Your fears are not obstacles, but messengers. They carry wisdom about your deepest longings, your unspoken dreams. They mark the boundaries where your soul is ready to stretch, to become more than what you currently imagine. As night draws close, picture each fear as a tiny guest asking for comfort. Offer love, not eviction. Let compassion dissolve the noise so sleep welcomes serenity, dressed as abundance. Chapter 10. The First Evidence. You stand at the threshold of understanding how subtle shifts in perception transform your entire landscape of experience. Etta Fay's journey illuminates a profound truth. Prosperity announces itself through whispers before thundering in as abundance. Her practice of noticing, truly noticing, began transforming her world. A complimentary espresso, a stranger's unexpected kindness, a parking spot appearing precisely when needed. These were not mere coincidences, but cosmic winks. Each small grace carried an energetic signature of alignment, inviting you to recognize the universe's constant conversation. The core teaching crystallizes a fundamental wisdom. Celebration magnetizes more reasons to celebrate. When you acknowledge even the tiniest blessing, you send a vibrational signal of receptivity. Your attention becomes a sacred ritual, turning ordinary moments into portals of potential. Sidney Clark embodied this principle beautifully. A modest $5 refund became his canvas of gratitude. Where others might have dismissed such a sum, Sidney treated it as a messenger of greater abundance. He didn't just accept the money, he honored its arrival with genuine appreciation. The interpretation is clear. Acknowledgement is the bridge between possibility and manifestation. Each moment of genuine thankfulness acts like a tuning fork, calibrating your inner frequency to receive more generously. Your recognition doesn't just appreciate what is, it invites what can be. This principle operates beyond material wealth. It touches relationships, creativity, inner peace. When you train yourself to see abundance in its smallest forms, you rewire your perception from scarcity to overflow. Practice before dreaming. As night approaches and sleep beckons, create a sacred ritual of gratitude. Speak aloud the day's small bounties, each unexpected kindness, each moment of ease, each tiny grace. Let your voice carry warmth. Let gentle laughter punctuate your recounting. Whisper each blessing as if sharing a delightful secret. Remember, these are not just events, but previews of a feast awaiting your full presence. Your words become seeds, your appreciation the water that helps them take root. Close your eyes. Breathe. Know that even the smallest crumb of blessing carries the entire potential of the loaf. Part 2. The Alignment of Faith. Chapter 11. The Quiet Power. Velma Jean lived in a small cottage at the edge of a whispering forest, where silence spoke louder than the busiest city streets. Her journey with prosperity began not with grand declarations, but with a quiet understanding that true abundance flows from inner stillness. She had learned that noise, whether of worry, complaint, or desperate striving, disrupted the delicate frequency of manifestation. Each morning, she would sit by her window, watching dawn unfold, her breath synchronized with the gentle awakening of the world around her. The core teaching resonated deep within her. Faith is invisible action. It is not what you proclaim to the world, but what you know in the quiet chambers of your heart that transforms reality. Velma Jean understood that every thought carried a vibration, and stillness was the purest form of intention. Her practice was simple yet profound. She would close her eyes and feel the rhythm of her breath, allowing each inhale to draw in possibility and each exhale to release limitation. The universe, she realized, did not respond to loud demands. but to calm certainty. Then came Nelson Troy, a mid-level accountant whose lunch breaks became sacred moments of inner cultivation. While his colleagues rushed and worried, Nelson would find a quiet corner, close his eyes, and breathe abundance into existence. He didn't visualize specific outcomes, but instead felt the essence of prosperity, expansive, calm, ever-present. At first, his colleagues found his practice peculiar, but soon something shifted. Opportunities began presenting themselves with an almost magical ease. His supervisor noticed his enhanced clarity, and projects that once seemed complex now unfolded naturally through him. The interpretation was clear. Prosperity echoes quiet assurance. When you align your inner state with the frequency of abundance, external circumstances have no choice but to recalibrate and match your vibration. Velma Jean's and Nelson's stories illuminated a universal truth. Manifestation is not about forcing outcomes, but about creating a receptive inner landscape where miracles can take root. As you rest, imagine inhaling luminous calm and exhaling doubt until thought itself glows softly, meeting dreams that are already true. Chapter 12. The Heart of Giving. You stand at the threshold of understanding a universal truth. Generosity is not an action, but a vibration that transforms everything it touches. Millie Rose embodied this wisdom, offering joy as naturally as breathing. Her kindness a radiant current flowing without calculation or expectation. When you give from a place of pure inspiration, you activate an ancient spiritual mechanism. Your generosity becomes a sacred language that the universe understands instantly. Each act of giving creates invisible threads of connection, weaving a tapestry of abundance that returns to you multiplied. Millie understood this instinctively. She didn't give to receive, but because giving was her truest expression of inner wealth. Her generosity wasn't measured in currency or material exchange, but in the quality of energy she released. A smile offered freely, a moment of genuine listening, a spontaneous gesture of support. These were her currencies of connection. The universe responds to such authentic transmission. Where scorekeeping creates scarcity, unconditional giving opens channels of unexpected blessings. Your generosity becomes a living prayer, a vibrational invitation for prosperity to dance into your experience. Consider Jasper Dale, whose quiet acts of kindness transformed his inner landscape. By painting delicate notes of encouragement and anonymously sharing them, he discovered that generosity heals not just the recipient, but the giver most profoundly. His loneliness dissolved as he became a conduit of unexpected joy, and friendships blossomed where isolation once resided. This is the circulation of abundance, a spiritual bloodstream where giving and receiving are not separate, but part of one harmonious flow. Your generosity is not about grand gestures, but consistent, sincere expressions of your inner richness. Reflect on the times you've offered something without expecting return. Feel how those moments expanded your sense of connection, how they softened boundaries between self and other. Your kindness is a sacred art, a way of participating in the universe's continuous dance of renewal. Tonight, as you prepare for rest, let gratitude wash through you. Feel how your smallest acts of generosity create ripples far beyond what your eyes can see. Every kind word, every compassionate thought, Every moment of genuine support breathes your abundance larger. Practice. Before sleeping, recall 3 moments of giving from your day. They need not be dramatic. Perhaps a genuine smile, a patient listen, an unexpected encouragement. Breathe into these memories, feeling how each act circulated joy. Let your breath become a gentle rhythm of giving and receiving, knowing that in this sacred exchange you are always supported, always abundant. Chapter 13. The Release of Control. You stand at the edge of control, fingers gripping tightly to plans like lifelines, unaware that true prosperity flows when you learn to float. Fannie Ray knew this dance intimately, her life a meticulously mapped landscape where every moment was scheduled, every possibility calculated. Her world hummed with precision, yet something essential remained trapped. Spreadsheets and color-coded calendars surrounded her, a fortress of intention built to protect her from uncertainty. But the universe whispers its wisdom through unexpected channels, and for Fannie, that channel would become surrender. One autumn morning, as golden leaves drifted effortlessly beyond her window, Fannie realized her plans were like rigid branches, brittle, unable to bend. The core teaching emerged softly. Control is an illusion, and true manifestation requires breathing space for magic. When she began releasing her grip, not through carelessness but conscious trust, something remarkable occurred. Projects that once felt straining now moved with elegant simplicity. Opportunities appeared where rigid strategies had previously blocked them. Archie Lowell's story echoed this truth. A retired accountant who had lived by spreadsheets and projections, he performed a symbolic ritual one evening. Gathering years of meticulously crafted to-do lists, he created a small ceremonial fire. As papers burned, transforming into ash, he felt an unexpected lightness, a quantum shift in his energy. The interpretation crystallized. Control is a dam blocking the river of potential. When you remove the barriers, inspiration rushes in with unprecedented force. Your most profound plans are mere suggestions. The universe's intelligence far surpasses human plotting. Surrender does not mean passive waiting. It means active trust, a dynamic cooperation with the unseen forces orchestrating your path. You become a co-creator, not a micromanager. Fannie learned to hold her intentions gently, like delicate seeds. She visualized her goals, then released attachment to their precise unfolding. Her energy shifted from forcing to flowing, from controlling to trusting. The practice became her meditation, breathing into possibility, allowing space between intention and manifestation. She discovered that miracles often arrive through unexpected portals when she ceased trying to design their entrance. Practice. Before sleep, whisper, "I release the how." Let the universe orchestrate as you drift on trust's lullaby. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Joy Compass. You have been taught that life is a serious endeavor, a path of relentless effort and calculated steps. But what if prosperity whispers through joy, not struggle? What if your most potent creative force is not discipline, but delight? Hattie Nell understood this truth after years of marching through life like a soldier assigned an impossible mission. Her days were structured landscapes of duty, each moment meticulously planned, each task executed with stern precision. She believed success was earned through gritted teeth and sacrificed moments of spontaneity. But the universe speaks a different language, a language of lightness, of flow, of unexpected grace. One morning, as Hattie reviewed her color-coded schedules and systematically checked off tasks, something shifted. A tiny rebel inside her asked, "What if this could be fun?" The question hung in the air, subtle yet revolutionary. She began experimenting, small shifts, adding playful melodies to mundane tasks, transforming spreadsheets into creative canvases, approaching work not as a battlefield, but as a playground of possibility. Her energy changed. Colleagues noticed a sparkle where rigidity once resided. Her reports, once dry technical documents, now carried an undercurrent of enthusiasm. Clients responded differently, drawn not just to her competence, but to her joy. Simultaneously, Vernon Clay discovered a similar truth in his professional world. A consultant known for his methodical approach, Vernon started treating each project like an intricate, fascinating game. He introduced playful metaphors, used storytelling in presentations, and approached challenges with childlike curiosity. His clients didn't just hire him for solutions, they were captivated by his infectious approach. Where others saw problems, Vernon saw puzzles waiting to be explored with wonder. His lightheartedness became his most powerful professional tool. The core teaching crystallizes. Joy is not a luxury. It is a strategic asset. When you infuse your efforts with genuine pleasure, you create a magnetic field that attracts opportunities far more effectively than serious striving. Your work becomes an expression of your spirit, not a transaction. Your energy becomes an invitation, not an obligation. As night approaches and dreams prepare to visit, you are invited to a sacred practice of alignment. Smile softly as dreams approach. Let happiness foretell success, radiating quietly into your sleep. Chapter 15. The Company You Keep. In the vast tapestry of human experience, you are not alone in the journey of transformation. Ida Lou's story reveals a fundamental truth that vibrates through the universal laws of abundance. Your environment shapes your perception, and your perception creates your reality. For years, Ida Lou wandered through a landscape of scarcity. Her conversations weighted with tales of struggle and limitation. Her social circle was a confined chamber of whispered anxieties, where lack echoed from one voice to another, reinforcing a collective narrative of struggle. Each conversation became a thread weaving a restrictive fabric around her potential. But something within her began to stir. A quiet recognition that the stories she absorbed were not immutable truths, but choices. Gradually, she began to curate her connections with intention, seeking out those whose words carried the resonance of possibility. Her new companions spoke differently. Their language was not about what was missing, but what was emerging. They described opportunities as already existing, waiting to be recognized. They celebrated each other's victories as naturally as breathing. Prosperity was not a distant dream for them, but a living, breathing reality they collectively nurtured. As Ida Lou immersed herself in this new, energetic environment, something remarkable occurred. Her financial landscape began to shift. Opportunities that once seemed invisible now appeared with surprising clarity. Conversations that used to drain her now energized her. Her inner dialogue transformed, mirroring the abundant perspective of her new circle. Around the same time, Lowell Dean understood this principle intuitively. He created a mastermind group unlike any traditional networking circle. Instead of competitive strategies, they gathered for gratitude calls. Each member would share not their challenges, but the blessings currently flowing through their lives. These calls became sacred spaces of collective manifestation. As they spoke their gratitudes, something alchemical happened. Their individual vibrations of appreciation began to harmonize, creating a resonant field of potential that lifted every participant. The interpretation was clear. Prosperity is not an individual pursuit, but a collaborative dance. When minds align in trust, appreciation, and expectation of good, the universe responds with remarkable synchronicity. As you rest tonight, imagine yourself surrounded by radiant allies cheering your wealth of peace. Let belonging whisper you into alignment. Chapter 16. The Reframing of Challenges. In the tapestry of prosperity, you will discover that challenges are not obstacles, but intricate pathways woven with golden threads of transformation. Your perception determines whether a moment becomes a setback or a breakthrough. Nora Jean stood at the precipice of uncertainty when her corporate position dissolved, a sudden absence that might have crushed lesser spirits. But she chose to view this moment not as an ending, but as a sacred threshold, a doorway into unexplored territories of potential. Where others might have trembled, Nora Jean whispered to herself, "This is not a loss, but an invitation." Her inner dialogue transformed the landscape of her experience. She understood that the universe communicates through subtle shifts, and what appears as disruption often conceals magnificent redesign. Instead of mourning her lost position, she began exploring creative avenues that had always whispered at the edges of her imagination. Her skills, once confined by corporate boundaries, now found expansive expression. Freelance opportunities emerged, writing, consulting, designing, each role paying more generously than her previous structured employment. The core teaching revealed itself through her journey. Perspective is the alchemical agent that transmutes challenge into opportunity. Your interpretation of an event carries more power than the event itself. When you bless a situation, you unlock its hidden potential. Simultaneously, Rupert Glenn's story unfolded as another testament to this wisdom. Confronted with a challenging health diagnosis, he did not resist or collapse into fear. Instead, he viewed his illness as a profound pause, an invitation to radical self-love and recalibration. Rupert began meditating, nourishing his body with intentional nutrition, and exploring healing modalities that reconnected him with his inner vitality. Where medical prognoses suggested limitation, his transformed perspective accelerated his recovery. His physicians were astonished by his rapid healing, a testament to the power of blessing one's challenges. The interpretation crystallizes a universal truth. Challenges are not punishments, but precise messengers. They arrive bearing gifts wrapped in unexpected packaging, invitations to grow, to realign, to remember your inherent resilience. Your relationship with challenge determines its impact. When you meet difficulty with curiosity instead of resistance, you transform its energy. You become the alchemist, turning lead experiences into golden opportunities. Practice. While drifting off, thank every trial for pointing you home. Release resistance. Cradle life in calm acceptance. As you drift toward sleep, gently revisit the moments that challenged you today, not to relive the stress, but to reinterpret their meaning. Each difficulty can be reframed as a signal, nudging you toward clarity about what matters and what doesn't. Instead of resisting those experiences, acknowledge them with quiet gratitude, as if they were guides rather than obstacles. This shift softens the mind, allowing tension to loosen its grip. Let your body mirror this acceptance. With each breath, imagine releasing the need to control outcomes or replay events. There's a quiet strength in allowing things to be as they are, without forcing resolution in the moment. In this state, calm isn't something you chase. It naturally emerges when resistance fades. You begin to feel held by the flow of life rather than pushed against it. As sleep approaches, rest in that sense of being carried rather than carrying everything yourself. The mind settles, the body unwinds, and a deeper trust takes root. Over time, this habit builds resilience, not by avoiding hardship, but by meeting it with openness and steadiness, making peace a more familiar place to return to. Chapter 17. The Music of Intention. In the quiet rhythm of daily existence, you are an instrument of creation, playing melodies that resonate far beyond the visible world. Sally Clare understood this profound truth, that every action, every whisper, every humble task carries a vibration capable of transforming reality. Her kitchen became her concert hall, her mop and dishes her musical companions. As she scrubbed counters, she sang soft affirmations. Abundance flows through me. My life is rich with possibility. Every motion is a blessing. These were not mere words, but frequencies tuning her inner landscape to prosperity's wavelength. The universe listens not to loud proclamations, but to the quiet, consistent music of genuine belief. Sally's affirmations weren't desperate pleas, but calm declarations of an already existing truth. Her intention transformed ordinary moments into sacred rituals of manifestation. Across town, Curtis Todd approached carpentry with a similar wisdom. Each hammer strike, each measured cut was accompanied by an internal hum of joy. He didn't chase clients or spend fortunes on advertising. Instead, he infused his work with an energetic signature of contentment and craftsmanship. His wooden structures seemed to carry a different resonance, not just assembled, but birthed from a place of genuine delight. Clients were drawn to something ineffable in his creations, a sense of harmony, of work done with love. The core teaching crystallizes a universal principle. Your internal melody determines your external landscape. Intention is the most potent frequency, heard more clearly by the universe than any anxious thought or desperate strategy. Curtis's business grew not through aggressive marketing, but through the magnetic pull of his joyful approach. People sensed the difference. Work created from inspiration attracts effortlessly, while work born of struggle repels. The interpretation is clear. When you transform your inner music, the world cannot help but dance to your tune. Your frequency is your most powerful tool of attraction, more precise than any technique, more persuasive than any argument. As night approaches and dreams beckon, you are invited to a sacred practice. Hum softly before sleep some sound that feels wealthy, letting its resonance guide dreams toward harmony of infinite plenty. Chapter 18. The Balance of Action and allowing. In the gentle rhythm of life's grand symphony, you are learning that prosperity is not measured by the volume of your hustle, but by the harmony of your intention. Opal May once believed that success demanded relentless effort, her days a cacophony of constant motion. Yet her dreams remained distant echoes. Her transformation began when she discovered the profound truth. Allowing is an action far more powerful than forcing. Each moment you strain against the current of life, you create resistance. But when you align your movements with the subtle whispers of your inner wisdom, magic unfolds effortlessly. Opal learned to pause, to breathe, to listen to the quiet nudges of her intuition. Instead of pushing harder, she began to move with grace, each step inspired, each action infused with a sense of calm certainty. Her work no longer felt like a battle, but a dance. Then came Gerald Ross, a man who understood the art of aligned effort. Where others saw hustle as heroism, Gerald moved only when his inner compass guided him. His intuition became his most trusted navigator. When inspiration whispered, he listened. When guidance suggested a direction, he followed, not with urgency, but with a fluid, peaceful momentum. The result was miraculous. His productivity doubled, yet the strain vanished. Tasks that once felt like mountains now seemed like gentle slopes. He discovered that true productivity is not about how much you do, but about the quality of energy you bring to what you do. The interpretation is clear. When your effort is aligned with your inner truth, grace becomes your partner. Inspiration is not a rare visitor, but a constant companion. Your actions, when guided by this inner wisdom, carry a magnetic power that attracts opportunities and dissolves obstacles. You are learning that the universe responds not to force, but to faith, not to struggle, but to flow. Each inspired step is a conversation with possibility, each aligned movement a prayer of potential. As sleep nears, promise yourself effortless, inspired movement tomorrow. Letting rest be your first aligned action tonight. Chapter 19. The Currency of Emotion. In the gentle landscape of abundance, you are always more powerful than you know. Your inner emotional realm is a living, breathing currency that attracts experiences far more potent than physical money. Trudy Lou understood this profound truth long before most, that prosperity is not something you chase, but a state you inhabit. Her journey began with a simple yet radical shift. She decided to make joy her fundamental currency. Where others saw bills, Trudy saw opportunities. Where stress might have previously lived, she cultivated a garden of lightheartedness. Her bank account was not just a record of transactions, but a reflection of her internal vibration. Each morning, Trudy chose gratitude over anxiety. She whispered thanks for the roof above her, the coffee warming her hands, the breath filling her lungs. These were not mere words, but vibrational signals sent to the universe declaring her inherent wealth. Her friend Elmer Kent took this principle even further. After paying his monthly bills, an act many approach with tension, he would literally dance. Not a rehearsed performance, but a spontaneous celebration of life's flow. His dance was a declaration: money moves through me, not from me. Each step was a testament to the truth that wealth is an energy, not just a number. The core teaching resonates deeply. Your emotional state is the true negotiation table where prosperity is discussed. Worry contracts, joy expands. Fear constricts, trust allows. When you align your inner frequency with abundance, physical manifestation becomes inevitable. Elmer's dancing wasn't just whimsy, it was wisdom in motion. By transforming a typically stressful moment into one of celebration, he was reprogramming his relationship with money. His bills were no longer obligations, but invitations to express gratitude. The universe listens not to your words, but to the music of your emotions. When Trudy and Elmer radiated joy, opportunities began to align. Unexpected checks arrived, connections sparked, and resources seemed to flow with remarkable ease. This is not magic, but the natural rhythm of energy. You are always broadcasting a signal, and prosperity responds to your most consistent frequency. When you make peace your baseline, abundance becomes your natural state. Practice. Feel prosperity, emotions swelling gently as you drift into rest. Let satisfaction become your lullaby exchange rate for dreams fulfilled. As you move toward sleep, let the feeling of prosperity rise gently, not as something loud or forced, but as a quiet sense of enoughness already present within you. It's less about imagining wealth as a distant goal, and more about recognizing a subtle fullness in this moment. Allow satisfaction to expand in your chest, as if you've already arrived, even if the outer world is still catching up. Let this feeling become rhythmic, like a soft lullaby your mind hums in the background. With each breath, deepen into that calm assurance. Nothing urgent, nothing missing. The idea of exchange here becomes internal. Instead of trading effort for reward, you're aligning your emotional state with what fulfillment feels like. That alignment can gently reshape how you perceive opportunities, decisions, and even setbacks. As sleep takes over, rest in that quiet richness. There's no need to chase or grasp. The feeling itself is enough to carry you into deeper rest. Over time, this habit nurtures a grounded confidence, one that doesn't depend on external proof, but grows from repeatedly experiencing satisfaction as a natural, accessible state within you. Chapter 20. The Path of Consistency. In the quiet rhythm of your life, you discovered that emotion is not just a fleeting experience, but the very currency that shapes your reality. Wanda Dell understood this profound truth through a simple yet transformative practice of nightly gratitude journaling. Each evening, as darkness settled and the world grew still, she would take her worn, leather-bound notebook and begin writing. At first, her entries were hesitant, small acknowledgments of mundane moments. "Thank you for the warm coffee this morning," she would write, grateful for the kind smile from the grocery store clerk. But as days turned into weeks, something remarkable began to unfold. Her gratitude became more expansive, more intentional. The universe listens not to the volume of your words, but to the frequency of your heart. Wanda's consistent practice was like a gentle hammer, repeatedly striking the same spot until the vibration of abundance became etched into her very being. Her journal transformed from a record of moments to a map of manifestation. Nearby, Roscoe Finn discovered his own path to resonance through morning prayers infused with humor and lightness. Each sunrise found him whispering, sometimes chuckling, affirmations of abundance. "Thank you, universe," he would say with a playful grin, "for the wealth that flows to me as easily as my morning coffee." His laughter wasn't dismissive. It was a powerful tool of transformation. The core teaching whispers a profound truth. Consistency is the alchemy that turns momentary thoughts into permanent reality. Your subconscious does not distinguish between a repeated joke and a repeated prayer. It simply absorbs the energy, the emotion, the consistent vibration. Roscoe's humor became his spiritual practice. Where others might approach abundance with tension, he approached it with joy. His laughter was not an escape, but an invitation, a way of telling the universe that prosperity was not a serious struggle, but a natural dance of energy. The interpretation is clear. Repetition is the chisel that sculpts your inner landscape. Every repeated thought, every consistent emotion becomes a groove in the stone of your subconscious. What you repeat with feeling, you ultimately believe. And what you believe, you inevitably experience. Reflection. Practice. Await dreams, confident that your steady joy has already sculpted them, breathing evenly within divine routine. Part 3. The Embodiment of Prosperity. Chapter 21. The Harmony of Body and Spirit. In the dance of prosperity, you discover that your physical vessel is not separate from your spiritual journey, but a profound conductor of universal energy. Elsie Ray's story illuminates a truth often forgotten in the pursuit of abundance. Your body is not merely a container, but a living, breathing antenna for manifestation. For years, Elsie pushed herself relentlessly, believing that constant motion equaled progress. She worked through exhaustion, ignored the whispers of her body, and treated rest as a luxury she could not afford. Her pursuit of success became a marathon of depletion, where each accomplishment came at the cost of her inner harmony. But the universe speaks through subtle channels, through the quiet ache of muscles, the heavy fog of fatigue, the soft warning signals that echo through your physical form. Elsie's intuition, once sharp and clear, began to dim. Her inner guidance grew muted, like a radio signal losing its strength, all because she had forgotten to honor the sacred temple of her body. The transformation began not with a dramatic revelation, but with a gentle awakening. She started to recognize that her physical wellness was not a hindrance to her spiritual magnetism, but its very foundation. Your body is an instrument of attraction, a living prayer that communicates with the cosmic energies far more eloquently than words ever could. Nearby, Curtis Lee embodied this wisdom with remarkable grace. He approached each meal as a sacred ritual of abundance. Where others saw simple sustenance, Curtis saw an opportunity for communion with prosperity. He chose foods that nourished not just his physical form, but his energetic blueprint. Each bite became a prayer, each meal a celebration of life's inherent richness. The interpretation crystallizes a profound truth. When you respect your body, you amplify your attraction field. Your physical wellness is not separate from your spiritual prosperity. It is its most immediate expression. The cells of your body are living magnets, constantly broadcasting your inner state to the universe. Imagine your body as a finely tuned instrument capable of receiving and transmitting the most subtle frequencies of abundance. Every breath is an invitation, every movement a conversation with the cosmic intelligence that surrounds you. Your physical form is not a limitation, but a magnificent channel through which prosperity can flow. Curtis understood that health was not about restriction or punishment, but about celebration. He moved with joy, ate with gratitude, and treated his body as a sacred vessel of potential. His approach transformed wellness from a chore to a spiritual practice, turning nutrition into a direct line of communication with abundance. Reflection. Practice. As you relax, breathe love into each cell, thanking your body for being vessel and magnet both. Chapter 22. The Mastery of Attention. In the vast landscape of manifestation, your attention is the most potent currency you possess. Like a sculptor's hands shaping clay, your focused awareness molds the raw material of potential into tangible reality. Bonnie May discovered this profound truth when her scattered thoughts began to dissolve her dreams like morning mist. For years, Bonnie had been a wanderer in the realm of her own potential. Her mind darted from one desire to another, never settling, never truly believing. She chased opportunities like scattered leaves in the wind, wondering why prosperity seemed to slip through her fingers. But something shifted when she learned the sacred art of concentrated intention. The transformation began simply. Bonnie chose 3 visions that made her heart sing, not dreams born of lack, but aspirations that radiated pure joy. She selected these with care, as a gardener might choose seeds destined to bloom. One vision centered on a creative project that had long whispered at the edges of her imagination. Another embraced a vision of meaningful connection with her community. The third was a deeply personal landscape of inner peace and financial ease. With each vision, Bonnie did something remarkable. She did not just think about these possibilities. She felt them. She allowed her entire being to resonate with the frequency of their fulfillment. Her attention became a laser, cutting through the noise of doubt and uncertainty. Hubert Cole's story echoed a similar wisdom. A quiet man with hands weathered by years of patient craft, he understood that true manifestation was an art of reverence. Each evening, he would light 3 candles and practice a meditation of pure appreciation, not a scattered gratitude, but a concentrated beam of awareness that burned as steadily as the flames before him. As Hubert watched the candles, he did not ask or beg. He simply appreciated. He appreciated the light, the warmth, the potential contained within each moment. And in that space of undivided attention, ideas would bloom, subtle at first, then growing with unmistakable clarity. Opportunities for abundance would arrive, not as distant promises, but as natural extensions of his focused appreciation. The universal law revealed itself through their experiences. Managed attention is the blueprint of manifestation. Where you place your awareness, reality begins to conform, not through struggle, but through the quiet, persistent power of focused feeling. Your mind is not a wild horse to be tamed, but a loyal companion waiting for clear direction. When you learn to guide your attention with gentle, consistent love, miracles begin to take shape. Practice. Gently escort wandering thoughts toward one glowing desired feeling as you drift. Let that focus script your dreams. As you settle into rest, notice how thoughts naturally wander. There's no need to resist them. Instead, guide them softly, like a calm current redirecting drifting leaves toward a single feeling you want to hold on to. It could be warmth, peace, joy, or quiet confidence. Let that feeling glow gently in your awareness, becoming a steady point your mind returns to without force. As this feeling deepens, allow it to shape the images and impressions that arise. Your mind begins to weave it into subtle dreamlike scenes, where emotions lead more than logic. In this state, the feeling becomes a quiet storyteller, influencing the tone of your inner world and gradually easing you into a more harmonious mental space. Drifting further, trust that this focused feeling continues its work even as you fall asleep. There's no need to control or perfect it. Just let it linger softly, like a guiding light in the background. Over time, this simple act strengthens your ability to settle your mind and cultivate the emotional state you wish to carry, both in rest and beyond. Chapter 23. The Lightness of Forgiveness. You carry memories like weighted chains, each link forged from past hurts, disappointments, and unresolved emotions. These invisible burdens anchor you to old stories, preventing the natural flow of prosperity from entering your life. Forgiveness is not about absolving others of their actions, but about releasing yourself from the prison of perpetual pain. Leona Fay understood this truth after years of carrying grudges that felt like lead weights in her heart. She had been wronged, deeply and repeatedly, by those she once trusted. Each remembered slight was a stone added to her internal landscape, making her spirit heavy and her potential constricted. Prosperity, she discovered, cannot navigate through waters muddied by resentment. The moment Leona decided to forgive was not dramatic. It was quiet, almost imperceptible, a soft inner surrender. She realized that holding on to past injuries was like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Her grudges had become a self-imposed limitation, a barrier between her and the abundant life waiting to embrace her. Norman Tate's journey mirrored this revelation. He had experienced significant financial losses that haunted him for years. Each failed venture, each missed opportunity seemed to whisper accusations of his inadequacy. But when he finally forgave himself, not as an act of weakness but as an act of profound self-love, something extraordinary happened. The act of self-forgiveness created a spaciousness within him. Where anger and self-recrimination once resided, clarity began to flow. Ideas that had been blocked by his own judgment now surfaced effortlessly. Profitable concepts emerged, not from strain, but from the peaceful acceptance of his entire journey. This is the universal principle. Release creates a vacuum that the divine eagerly fills with grace. Your past does not define you. Your willingness to let go determines your future. Forgiveness is not about forgetting, but about transforming the energy of hurt into a catalyst for growth. When you carry resentment, you unconsciously signal to the universe that you are not ready to receive. Your closed fists cannot accept new gifts, but when you open your hands, metaphorically and spiritually, you create space for miracles. The practice of forgiveness is not a one-time event, but a continuous process. It requires gentleness, patience, and a profound understanding that everyone, including yourself, is on a learning journey. As you sink into rest, silently free anyone, including yourself, imagining peace rushing in where hurt once lived. Chapter 24. The Bridge of Imagination. In the soft twilight between waking and dreaming, you discover the profound alchemy of imagination, a sacred art of transforming invisible whispers into tangible realities. Polly Jane understood this secret long before most. Her dreams were not mere fleeting fantasies, but vivid landscapes of potential, carefully cultivated with the tender attention of a master gardener. Where others saw empty spaces, Polly painted entire worlds with the brushstrokes of her inner vision. Her imagination was not an escape, but a bridge, a luminous pathway connecting the realm of possibility to the ground of manifestation. Each night she would close her eyes and breathe life into scenes so rich with emotion and detail that they seemed to pulse with their own heartbeat. The universe listens not to your words, but to the frequency of your inner imagery. Polly knew this instinctively. She would visualize her desires not as distant hopes, but as already existing realities waiting to be recognized. Her mind became a fertile ground where dreams took root, nourished by the water of belief and the sunlight of unwavering faith. Then came Harvey Dell, a craftsman whose workshop lived first in the landscape of his imagination before it materialized in physical form. Each evening he would close his eyes and hear the echoes of joyful collaboration, tools dancing across wooden surfaces, the warm laughter of colleagues sharing creative moments. These were not idle daydreams, but precise energetic blueprints that the universe would soon trace into reality. When Harvey finally rented the physical space, it was as if he was simply stepping into a room he had already inhabited countless times in his inner vision. Success did not arrive as a surprise, but as a natural continuation of a journey already traveled in spirit. The interpretation reveals a profound truth. Imagination is not wishful thinking, but a sophisticated technology of creation. It is vibrational memory, a rehearsal so complete that physical reality cannot help but conform to its blueprint. Your inner vision is the draft, and life is merely the fair copy. Float toward sleep, painting scenes you love, until dreaming picks up the brush where you leave off. Chapter 25. The Silence of Knowing. You stand at the threshold of understanding where imagination transcends mere fantasy and becomes the blueprint of reality. Imagination is not wishful thinking, but the language through which the universe communicates its infinite potential through you. Cora Lynn had wandered through countless spiritual workshops, meditation retreats, and self-help seminars, collecting techniques like scattered pearls. She accumulated knowledge but felt no closer to true transformation. Her shelves were lined with books, promising secrets, her journal filled with half-completed practices, yet something essential remained elusive. Then one morning, in the profound silence between thoughts, she discovered what no technique could teach: knowing. Not the intellectual knowing of the mind, but a deeper resonance that hummed quietly beneath the surface of conscious thought. This knowing didn't announce itself with fanfare or dramatic revelation. It simply existed, like an underground river of certainty. Floyd Grant's journey mirrored hers, though his path led through rugged mountain landscapes. He had traveled seeking external signs, synchronicities, mystical encounters, divine messages. Yet the most profound communication happened in moments of complete stillness, when his mind stopped searching and began listening. The core teaching emerges. True manifestation happens not through aggressive pursuit, but through calm recognition. Your imagination is not a tool for creating something new, but a bridge revealing what already exists in potential. When you learn to be still, to truly listen, the universe speaks directly into your core. Floyd discovered that mountains don't reveal secrets to those who climb frantically, but to those who sit in patient communion. Similarly, Cora Lynn realized that abundance isn't acquired through desperate seeking, but through quiet alignment with an already present truth. The interpretation crystallizes. Certainty needs no external validation. When you know something so deeply that proof becomes irrelevant, you've entered the realm of true manifestation. Your inner landscape becomes more real than any physical circumstance. Lie peacefully, listening to the quiet confidence inside, realizing stillness speaks fluent abundance. Chapter 26. The Overflow Principle. In the quiet landscape of abundance, you are not a beggar at the feast of prosperity, but the very feast itself. Minnie Jo understood this profound truth when she shifted her consciousness from scarcity to infinite flow. Her revelation came not through struggle, but through a gentle awakening, a recognition that prosperity is not something to be acquired, but a state of being to be expressed. When Minnie Jo first glimpsed this understanding, she began to sense wealth not as a limited resource to be guarded, but as an endless current moving through her. She noticed how her thoughts of generosity created ripples of opportunity. Each time she mentally blessed others with abundance, she experienced a curious expansion within herself, as if the universe was responding to her role as a distributor of prosperity, not a collector. Her friend Alan Reese witnessed this transformation and followed a similar path. He began imagining his blessings spilling beyond his immediate circumstances, visualizing abundance flowing from him like a river with no banks. Contracts that once seemed elusive began to multiply, not through desperate pursuit, but through the quiet confidence of someone who knew they were connected to an infinite source. The core teaching emerged with crystalline clarity. Prosperity is not about receiving, but about being. When you behave as the source rather than the seeker, you align with the fundamental rhythm of creation. Your consciousness becomes a generative space where abundance is not just welcomed, but continuously birthed. Alan's experience proved that when you sense excess and mentally share it, more arrives effortlessly. His business grew not through aggressive marketing, but through a radiating energy of sufficiency. Opportunities found him because he was no longer desperate, but overflowing. The interpretation was simple yet profound. Sensing excess invites expansion. Your relationship with abundance transforms the moment you stop chasing and start emanating. Practice. Feel prosperity radiating through you into every dream figure, assuring infinite supply never diminishes through sharing. Chapter 27. The Dance with the Unknown. You stand at the threshold of uncertainty, not as a barrier but as an invitation. Ruby Nell understood this wisdom long before most, that life's uncharted territories are not landscapes of fear, but playgrounds of potential. Her relationship with the unknown was not one of resistance, but of curious exploration. Where others saw risk, Ruby Nell saw opportunity dancing just beyond the visible horizon. Uncertainty was not a threat to be conquered, but a mysterious friend waiting to reveal its secrets. She learned to approach life's unpredictable moments with the lightness of a child playing an intricate game where rules were fluid and joy was the primary currency. The universe, you'll discover, speaks most eloquently through surprise. It whispers its most profound messages not in carefully planned strategies, but in unexpected turns and spontaneous revelations. Ruby Nell's approach was radical in its simplicity. She treated uncertainty as a collaborative partner rather than an adversary. Consider Clyde Barr, who transformed setbacks into moments of cosmic comedy. When challenges appeared, he would laugh, a deep, genuine laughter that acknowledged life's inherent unpredictability. His perspective was not about dismissing difficulties, but about refusing to be defeated by them. Each obstacle became an opportunity for creative reframing. The core teaching emerges. Lightness is a form of spiritual intelligence. When you can view life's uncertainties with humor, curiosity, and openness, you transform potential stumbling blocks into stepping stones. Your energy shifts from defensive to receptive, from contracted to expansive. This is not about forcing positivity or denying genuine emotions. Instead, it's about developing a flexible relationship with the unknown. You learn to dance with uncertainty, to move with its rhythms rather than fighting against them. Your trust becomes a form of inner navigation, guiding you through uncharted territories with grace and ease. The interpretation is clear. Uncertainty is not your enemy, but a portal to unexpected blessings. When you approach life's mysteries with a playful heart, you signal to the universe that you are ready for its most delightful surprises. Practice. Let yourself drift into mystery with trust, whispering, "Surprise me kindly," and sleep in curiosity's arms. Chapter 28. The Symphony of Connection. As you journey deeper into the realm of prosperity, you discover that wealth is not a solitary pursuit, but a harmonious dance of connection and compassion. Hilda Sue's life became a testament to this universal truth, revealing how the threads of kindness weave a tapestry of abundance far richer than any individual's singular efforts. In her small community, Hilda Sue had always understood that prosperity flows through the channels of human connection. Each smile she offered, each moment of genuine care, became a currency more valuable than gold. She knew that empathy was not weakness, but a powerful force that could transform individual lives and entire communities. When Dexter Moe invited neighbors to share their unused goods, Hilda Sue recognized the profound wisdom in this simple act. What one person no longer needed could become a treasure for another. Chairs, tools, books, and clothing began to circulate, creating a network of mutual support that transcended traditional economic boundaries. The neighborhood transformed. Where scarcity once whispered its limiting narratives, now abundance sang with multiple voices. Neighbors who were once strangers became allies, their shared resources creating a new kind of wealth, one built on trust, generosity, and mutual understanding. Dexter's initiative revealed a fundamental truth. Prosperity is not about individual accumulation, but about collective flourishing. Each shared item carried more than its material value. It carried intention, connection, and the acknowledgement that everyone's well-being matters. The community began to see wealth differently. It was no longer measured by individual bank accounts, but by the richness of their shared experiences, the strength of their connections, and the depth of their mutual care. Kindness became their primary investment, and the returns were immediate and profound. Hilda Sue watched this transformation with quiet joy. She understood that every act of generosity was like a stone cast into a still pond, creating ripples that extended far beyond the initial moment. Empathy was the true currency of abundance, transmitting wealth in ways that transcended monetary exchange. As the day settled into evening, the community's collective energy hummed with a sense of possibility. The boundaries between individual lives blurred, replaced by a sense of interconnectedness that felt both ancient and revolutionary. Picture waves of benevolence linking every heartbeat tonight until your dreams hum unity's prosperous note. Chapter 29. The Embodied Truth. You stand at the threshold of understanding that your essence is not defined by achievements, but by the vibration you carry. Mabel Joy once chased external validations, awards, recognition, approval, believing these would construct her worth. She accumulated credentials and accolades, yet felt an emptiness that no external marker could fill. One luminous morning, something shifted within her. She realized that prosperity was not a destination to reach, but a state of being to embody. It was not about proving her value, but simply knowing it. The universe does not require evidence. It responds to your fundamental frequency. Mabel began to breathe differently. Each inhale carried the rhythm of inherent abundance. Each exhale released the need to justify her existence. Her worth was not something to be earned, but something to be recognized, a subtle yet profound transformation. Around the same time, Terence Roy discovered a similar truth. As a small business owner, he had always hustled, believing hard work was the sole path to success. But when he started wearing gratitude like a second skin, something magical occurred. His posture changed. His interactions softened. He approached each conversation, each transaction, each moment with a deep sense of appreciation. Terence's gratitude was not performative. It was not a strategy to manipulate outcomes. Instead, it was a genuine recognition of the interconnected abundance already present. Doors began opening, not because he strategized, but because he radiated a frequency of genuine appreciation. The interpretation crystallized: being trumps doing. Your identity is not constructed through external achievements, but through internal alignment. When you know, truly know, that you are already whole, already abundant, the world cannot help but reflect that back to you. Prosperity, you understand now, is not something you acquire. It is something you recognize. It is a state of being that flows through you, as natural as breath, as constant as your heartbeat. Practice. Feel identity and abundance as one, breathing as their union until sleep carries that knowing into creation. Chapter 30. The Everlasting Flow. You stand at the threshold of understanding that prosperity is not a distant landscape to traverse, but an infinite current flowing through your very essence. Sadie Lou's journey illuminates a profound truth. Abundance is not a fleeting season that arrives and departs, but an eternal rhythm pulsing beneath every moment of your existence. When Sadie first glimpsed this revelation, her perception of wealth transformed. No longer did she see prosperity as something external to chase or capture, but as a living energy that moves through her, around her, within her. Like breath moving silently yet constantly, abundance circulates whether you acknowledge it or not. Leonard Pierce embodied this wisdom with remarkable grace. Where others panicked during financial ebbs, he observed income cycles with the same calm understanding a seasoned sailor reads ocean tides. He recognized that contraction is not absence, but part of the larger movement, a momentary inhale before the expansive exhale of prosperity. The core teaching whispers a radical truth. Giving and receiving are not separate actions, but a continuous dance. Every exchange is but a ripple in an endless ocean of energy. Your prosperity is not determined by what enters or leaves your hands, but by your understanding of this perpetual flow. Imagine wealth not as a static possession, but as a living current. Like water moving through rivers, streams, and oceans, prosperity has no true beginning or end. It simply transforms, circulates, renews. Your role is not to dam the flow, but to become a willing channel. Leonard's approach revealed that fear disrupts this natural circulation. When you grip too tightly, you create resistance. When you trust the cycle, you become fluid. Your financial landscape becomes less about accumulation and more about alignment with this cosmic rhythm. This understanding liberates you from scarcity's tight grip. Prosperity is not something you acquire, but something you recognize. It's an identity, a state of being that acknowledges the universe's inherent abundance. As night approaches and dreams beckon, prepare for your nightly practice. Fall asleep imagining yourself as river and ocean simultaneously, forever circulating love disguised as prosperity. Part 4. The Radiance of Mastery. Chapter 31. The Pulse of Purpose. In the gentle landscape of life's unfolding, you are not a seeker of purpose, but its living expression. Ellie Mae's journey illuminates a profound truth. Purpose is not a destination to be conquered, but a rhythm to be lived, a melody that emerges when you align with your deepest joy. For years, Ellie had constructed her life like a fortress of shoulds and musts, believing security meant following predetermined paths. She chased degrees, pursued promotions, and measured her worth by external markers of success. Yet something within her remained restless, a quiet whisper that spoke of a different kind of abundance. The transformation began when Ellie stopped asking the world what she should do and started listening to the quiet wisdom of her own heart. She discovered that purpose is not found through relentless searching, but through moments of genuine aliveness. When she began teaching art to children in a local community center, something shifted. Her eyes brightened, her movements became fluid, and her energy radiated a different frequency. The universe responds to authenticity with remarkable precision. As Ellie embraced work that made her spirit dance, opportunities began to emerge. Grants for her art programs appeared unexpectedly. Connections formed effortlessly. Her financial landscape transformed not through strategic planning, but through the magnetic power of inspired alignment. Then came Ralph Boone, a retired teacher who had spent decades feeling obligated rather than inspired. When he began volunteering with local children, sharing stories and wisdom, something remarkable happened. Where duty had once drained him, joy now filled his days. Donations for his community programs started flowing, not because he solicited them, but because his pure intention created a resonance that attracted support. The interpretation is clear. Purpose and prosperity are not separate journeys, but two expressions of the same essential energy. When you align with what makes you come alive, the universe conspires to support your path. Your inspired action becomes a form of prayer, a vibration that attracts exactly what you need. Before sleep, rest your palm over your heart and feel its rhythm as a compass pointing to purpose. Whisper, "This is the beat of my abundance," until purpose hums quietly into your dreams. Chapter 32. The Glow of Authenticity. You have worn masks longer than you realize, constructing elaborate facades that drain the very essence of your creative spirit. Each persona, the perfect professional, the unshakable optimist, the perpetually composed individual, requires immense energy to maintain, energy that could instead flow toward manifesting your deepest desires. Lena Ruth understood this profound truth when exhaustion became her unexpected teacher. Her meticulously crafted image of perfection began to crack, revealing the raw, vulnerable landscape of her true self. And in that moment of surrender, something extraordinary occurred. Authenticity became her most potent attraction mechanism. The universal principle whispers a timeless wisdom. Truth magnetizes more truth. When you strip away pretense, you become a clear channel for abundance. Your genuine energy no longer gets tangled in elaborate performances, but radiates with pure, unobstructed potential. Imagine authenticity as a frequency, a signal so pure and clear that it cannot help but draw matching experiences. When Lena began speaking her unfiltered truth, she discovered that genuine connections emerged effortlessly. Colleagues who once maintained polite distances now leaned in, sensing her renewed vitality. Opportunities that had seemed elusive suddenly appeared, as if her transparent energy had dissolved invisible barriers. Consider Myron Duke's journey, a testament to vulnerability's transformative power. During a business conference, instead of presenting a polished narrative of uninterrupted success, he shared stories of his failures, moments of doubt, financial struggles, and personal challenges. His audience, accustomed to carefully curated professional personas, was stunned by his raw honesty. The result was unexpected and profound. Where Myron once struggled to connect, his business audience doubled. Potential clients and partners were drawn not to a perfected image, but to the human story of resilience and genuine experience. His vulnerability became his greatest asset, proving that authenticity carries a magnetic resonance far more compelling than any manufactured presentation. The interpretation is clear. When you align with your true self, you expand your energetic resonance. This amplified frequency becomes a beacon, attracting abundance in ways logical planning could never orchestrate. Authenticity is not weakness, but a powerful declaration of self-worth. Your masks, created from fear of judgment, past wounds, societal expectations, have been protective armor. But they are also prison walls, constraining your magnificent potential. Each time you choose genuineness over performance, you liberate energy that can now flow toward creation and manifestation. As you drift into rest, imagine exhaling every mask and inhaling pure acceptance. Let dreams show how natural sincerity summons prosperity's glow. Chapter 33. The Echo of Blessing. In the gentle tapestry of universal connection, you are a living conduit of blessing, a sacred channel through which prosperity flows not by calculation, but by pure intention. Nancy Lee understood this profound truth long before her conscious mind could articulate it. She discovered that when blessing emerges from the heart's purest chamber, it becomes a luminous thread weaving through the fabric of existence, connecting souls in an invisible network of abundance. Your power to bless is not a performative act, but a silent communion with the great rhythm of life. Each time you wish genuine good for another, you create an energetic invitation that resonates beyond words. These blessings are not transactions, but transformative whispers that dance through the unseen realms, carrying the pure frequency of compassion. Nancy learned that blessing was not about grand gestures, but quiet, intentional moments of genuine goodwill. When she saw a tired worker, she would silently wish them rest. Watching a struggling student, she would breathe a wish of clarity and confidence. These unspoken offerings were like gentle rays of light, touching lives without demanding recognition. The universe listens to these pure transmissions. It does not hear the loud proclamations of ego, but the soft, sincere vibrations of genuine care. Your blessing becomes a bridge, connecting your inner abundance with the world's potential for grace. Philip James embodied this principle with remarkable simplicity. Walking through city streets, he began a subtle practice of silent blessing. Each person who crossed his path, the hurried executive, the weary street vendor, the distracted child, received his quiet, compassionate intention. He did not know their stories, did not need to. His blessings were pure emissions of goodwill. Remarkably, as Philip continued this practice, his own life began to shift. Opportunities emerged unexpectedly. Connections appeared where barriers once stood. His career, which had felt stagnant, now moved with a fluidity that seemed almost magical. But it was not magic. It was the natural response of a universe that recognizes and amplifies sincere blessing. The interpretation is clear. When you bless without agenda, you become a conduit of universal generosity. Your thoughts are not merely private experiences, but active agents of transformation. Each blessing you offer creates invisible pathways of potential, inviting prosperity to flow through you and around you. Bless your own life tonight as tenderly as you bless others, letting that vibration echo through your dreaming heart. Chapter 34. The Art of Surrendered Ambition. You have been taught that ambition is a force to be conquered, a mountain to be scaled with relentless determination. But true prosperity whispers a different truth, one of harmonious alignment and graceful allowing. Verna Lou understood this transformation intimately. For years, she had pursued her dreams like a warrior, wielding effort as her primary weapon. Her goals were fortresses to be stormed, her achievements measured by the sweat of her brow and the calluses on her hands. Success, she believed, was a battlefield to be won through sheer willpower. But the universe had a gentler lesson waiting. As Verna Lou softened her approach, she discovered a profound wisdom. Ambition fueled by excitement carries a different vibration than ambition born of desperation. When passion replaces pressure, when inspiration replaces intimidation, something magical occurs. The very energy of your desire begins to attract rather than chase. Her transformation began subtly. Instead of forcing outcomes, she learned to set intentions with a light touch. She visualized her dreams not as conquests, but as natural extensions of her being. Each goal became a conversation with the universe, not a confrontation. Then came Harold Dean, whose journey mirrored her own awakening. Harold had once believed success demanded constant struggle, but he learned to dream boldly while simultaneously trusting the invisible currents of possibility. His achievements began flowing not from aggressive pursuit, but from a state of relaxed expectation. The interpretation was clear. Surrender is not weakness, but the ultimate strength. When you release the tight grip of control, you create space for miracles. Your ambition becomes a gentle invitation rather than a demanding command. Imagine ambition as a river, not a forceful torrent carving through rock, but a fluid intelligence finding its natural path. some rapids, some calm waters, always moving, always knowing. This is the art of surrendered ambition, to dream with excitement, to plan with inspiration, and to allow with trust. Your goals do not require conquest, they require alignment. Feel achievement already humming within. Drift asleep confident that unseen hands shape outcomes better than any willpower could. Chapter 35. The Garden of Mindfulness. In the quiet landscape of consciousness, you are about to discover how the art of mindfulness transforms scattered energy into focused abundance. Your thoughts are not random fragments, but seeds waiting to be cultivated with intention and presence. Sylvia Dell had spent years scattering her attention like leaves in an autumn wind, chasing multiple possibilities without ever truly landing. Her mind raced from one incomplete task to another, creating a turbulence that repelled the very prosperity she sought. But something shifted when she began to observe her thoughts instead of being consumed by them. Imagine your mind as a vast open sky. Thoughts are clouds passing through, some dark, some light. But you are the unchanging azure backdrop, witnessing without attachment. Sylvia learned this sacred practice of detachment, understanding that true power lies not in controlling every thought, but in maintaining a calm, centered awareness. She started with her breath, that ancient rhythm connecting body and spirit. Each inhale became a gentle invitation to the present moment, each exhale a release of unnecessary mental clutter. As she practiced, her scattered energy began to coalesce, like water droplets forming a crystal. Her professional life reflected this inner transformation. Projects that once seemed overwhelming now unfolded with remarkable ease. Where she previously saw obstacles, she now recognized opportunities. Her mind, once a frantic marketplace, became a serene temple of focused creativity. Then came Emery Clyde, a graphic designer whose breakthrough mirrored Sylvia's journey. Amidst tight deadlines and creative pressures, he introduced mindful pauses, brief moments of conscious breathing between tasks. These weren't idle breaks, but intentional resets that recalibrated his inner landscape. During these pauses, Emery would close his eyes, feel his breath moving through him, and release any tension. Suddenly, ideas began flowing with an unprecedented clarity. His designs became more innovative, his workflow more intuitive. Clients noticed a transformation they couldn't quite explain, a certain magic that emerged from his newfound inner calm. The interpretation is profound. Awareness is the fertile soil where prosperity takes root. When you cultivate mindfulness, you're not just managing thoughts. You're creating an energetic environment where abundance can spontaneously bloom. As the chapter reaches its crescendo, you are invited into a transformative practice. Breathe softly into this moment as sleep calls. Notice one calm thought and invite it to accompany you into abundance-filled dreams. Chapter 36. The Circle of Celebration. In the garden of life, you are both the gardener and the seed, the observer and the observed. Mindfulness blooms when you recognize that each moment carries the potential for celebration, not just in grand achievements, but in the subtle unfoldings of daily existence. Ruth Ann had spent years believing that only monumental victories were worth acknowledging. She had trained herself to be stoic, to wait for massive transformations before allowing herself a moment of joy. But the universe whispers a different truth. Celebration is not the result of success, but its precursor. Imagine your life as a delicate ecosystem where every acknowledgement, every moment of gratitude acts like water and sunlight to your dreams. When you celebrate the small wins, a kind word from a stranger, a moment of unexpected peace, a task completed with grace, you are sending a powerful signal to the cosmic garden of possibility. Clyde Monroe understood this secret intuitively. Each morning, he would rise and perform a simple dance of gratitude. Not an elaborate ritual, but a gentle movement of appreciation. He would sway slightly, arms open, whispering thanks for the breath in his lungs, the floor beneath his feet, the potential of the day ahead. These morning dances were not performances, but conversations with the universe. What Clyde discovered was revolutionary. Joy is not waiting for the harvest, but tending the soil. His projects began to accelerate, not through harder work, but through lighter energy. Opportunities seemed to sprout where before there was only barren ground. His celebration was not about achieving, but about acknowledging the continuous miracle of becoming. The universal principle reveals itself quietly. Rejoicing predefines success. When you celebrate before the evidence arrives, you are aligning your inner frequency with the vibration of abundance. You are telling the universe, I am ready. I am worthy. I am already experiencing what I desire. Your mindfulness becomes a form of magic, a gentle attentiveness that transforms ordinary moments into extraordinary experiences. Each breath can be a celebration, each step a ritual of gratitude. You are not waiting for life to happen. You are participating in its continuous unfolding. Picture yourself gently celebrating today's blessings before bed. Soft laughter, light heart, then drifting into a night of quietly expanding rejoicing. Chapter 37. The Spark of Curiosity. In the quiet corners of her life, Lottie Dean had long imprisoned herself within walls of rigid expectation. Each day followed a predictable script, her thoughts marching in neat, constricting lines that allowed no deviation. Certainty was her fortress, but it was also her prison, a place where possibility withered and dreams grew dusty. The transformation began subtly, like a whisper breaking through concrete. One ordinary Wednesday, instead of following her usual routine, Lottie paused. She looked at her meticulously organized bookshelf and wondered what would happen if she chose a book completely outside her comfort zone. Her hand, almost rebellious, reached for a volume about Mongolian wildlife, something she would have never considered before. As she read, something within her began to soften. The world of nomadic herders, vast steppes, and intricate cultural practices cracked open a window in her mind. Curiosity, long dormant, began to breathe. This small act of spontaneity became a gateway. Lottie started asking questions, not just of books, but of people, of experiences, of the world around her. Where judgment once ruled, wonder now danced. She discovered that curiosity was not about knowing everything, but about being open to learning anything. The universe seems to conspire with those who approach life with genuine wonder. Opportunities that once seemed invisible now shimmered at her edges. Her conversations became more vibrant, her perspectives more fluid. She was no longer defending a fixed position, but exploring countless potential landscapes. Then she met Manuel Price, a local artisan whose life embodied the very principle of curiosity she was discovering. Manuel didn't just work in his craft. He celebrated the endless journey of learning. He tried new techniques, explored unexpected materials, and treated each project as an adventure of discovery. Watching Manuel, Lottie understood that curiosity was more than an intellectual exercise. It was a living, breathing approach to existence. It was about seeing the world not as a fixed system to be conquered, but as an ever-unfolding mystery to be appreciated. Her professional life began to shift. Colleagues who once saw her as rigid now sought her insights. Her ability to ask meaningful questions and genuinely listen opened doors she never knew existed. Promotions and collaborative opportunities emerged not through strategic maneuvering, but through the magnetic quality of her newfound openness. The core teaching crystallized. Curiosity is the secret lubricant of prosperity's intricate machinery. It transforms stagnation into movement, limitation into possibility. When you approach life with wonder instead of judgment, you become a living invitation for unexpected blessings. Manuel's story further illuminated this truth. By exploring hobbies far removed from his professional domain, pottery, electronic music, urban gardening, he continually expanded his network. Each seemingly unrelated exploration introduced him to people and perspectives that unexpectedly enhanced his professional world. The interpretation was clear. Curious hearts don't just attract knowledge, they attract entire ecosystems of increase. They become conduits for synchronicity, channels through which fresh pathways of prosperity can flow. As night approached and dreams beckoned, Lottie understood that curiosity was not about having all the answers, but about loving the questions. It was about maintaining a childlike wonder, a perpetual state of what if and I wonder. Let sleepy wonder lead you beyond known horizons, whispering, "Show me something beautiful tomorrow." Chapter 38. The Flame of Consistent Faith. In the gentle landscape of transformation, you stand at the threshold of understanding how trust becomes the silent architect of your reality. Jo Ellen's journey illuminates a profound truth. Faith is not a fleeting emotion, but a deliberate practice that reshapes the very terrain of your existence. For years, Jo Ellen oscillated between moments of radiant confidence and valleys of paralyzing doubt. Her dreams would flicker like candlelight in an unsteady wind, bright with possibility one moment, nearly extinguished the next. But something within her began to recognize that this vacillation was not her true nature, but a learned pattern waiting to be rewritten. She started small, almost imperceptibly. Each morning, she would whisper a single promise to herself, "I trust my path." At first, the words felt foreign, like a language she was struggling to remember. But with repetition, they began to take root, soft tendrils of certainty growing beneath the surface of her consciousness. The teaching reveals a profound universal principle. Consistency is the chisel that sculpts belief into reality. Your inner dialogue is not merely conversation, it is construction. Every repeated thought is a brick, every sustained emotion a foundation. Jo Ellen was learning to build her inner landscape with intention, understanding that what she reinforced internally would inevitably manifest externally. Parallel to her journey, Percy Roy demonstrated the power of faithful affirmation. Each night, he would sit in quiet meditation, repeating carefully chosen statements of abundance and trust. These were not mere words, but vibrational keys designed to unlock hidden chambers of potential within his life. At first, the changes were subtle. An unexpected refund arrived. A chance conversation led to a promising connection. Small synchronicities began to pepper his experience, like gentle confirmations from the universe that his steady belief was being heard, acknowledged, witnessed. The interpretation crystallizes a fundamental truth. Belief is not about grand, sporadic declarations, but about steady, quiet commitment. Like a gardener who waters a seed daily, understanding that growth happens invisibly before bursting into bloom, Percy and Joellen were learning to trust the unseen processes of manifestation. Your prosperity is not a destination to be reached, but a continuous conversation with the universe. Each affirmed belief, each moment of sustained trust, is a thread in the intricate tapestry of your unfolding reality. As you close your eyes, reaffirm the simple phrase, "I am held by ongoing abundance," until it hums into your dreaming rhythm. Chapter 39. The Still Fire of Contentment. The flame of consistent faith continues its luminous journey, revealing how the art of contentment becomes the silent orchestra of prosperity. You stand at the threshold of understanding that wealth is not a destination, but a state of being, a rhythm of inner peace that resonates far beyond material accumulation. Tina Marv's story unfolds like a gentle revelation. For years, she had been a hunter of experiences, chasing the next excitement, the next achievement, believing fulfillment lived somewhere beyond her current moment. Her life was a constant motion, switching careers, relocating cities, pursuing fleeting passions, always convinced that happiness resided in the next unexplored territory. But contentment is a wisdom that arrives not through chasing, but through stopping. It whispers its truth in moments of stillness, when the mind ceases its relentless pursuit and simply breathes. For Tina, this awakening came unexpectedly. One ordinary afternoon, while sitting in her modest apartment, she realized the profound wealth already surrounding her. A comfortable chair, a cup of warm tea, the soft light filtering through her window. This was not resignation, but a revolutionary recognition. Contentment, she discovered, was not about having everything, but about fully appreciating what was already present. It was a radical form of wealth that required no external validation, no constant proving, no perpetual striving. Her energy shifted. Where she once pushed and manipulated, she now allowed. Where she previously demanded, she now appreciated. The universe, sensing this fundamental change, began responding differently. Opportunities that had always existed but remained unseen now emerged naturally, as if they had been waiting for her internal alignment. Then came Edmund Blake, whose journey mirrored Tina's transformation. A professional who had spent decades measuring his worth against others' achievements, Edmund learned to stop the exhausting practice of comparison. He discovered that when he ceased evaluating his life through external metrics, his authentic self became his most magnetic asset. His work as a consultant transformed. No longer desperately marketing himself, he simply showed up with genuine expertise and serene confidence. Clients were drawn to this quiet assurance, a vibrational invitation more powerful than any aggressive sales pitch. His practice grew not through forceful networking, but through the natural attraction of someone deeply at peace with himself. The interpretation crystallizes a profound truth. Serene gratitude is an magnetic force. When you rest in the knowledge that you are fundamentally complete, you emit a frequency that naturally attracts abundance. It is not about forcing outcomes, but about creating an internal environment so rich with appreciation that surplus becomes your natural state. Rest deeply in the soothing awareness that nothing is missing. Let sleep magnify enoughness into overflowing peace. Chapter 40. The Return to Oneness. The moment you recognize that prosperity is not something to acquire, but a state of being you already inhabit, everything transforms. You are not separate from the abundance that flows through all of existence. You are the very channel through which it moves. Eva June's journey mirrored countless spiritual seekers before her. She had chased wealth, pursued opportunities, manipulated circumstances, all while missing the fundamental truth that resonates at the core of all creation: unity. Prosperity is not an external game of acquisition, but an internal recognition of interconnectedness. I and abundance are the same field, she whispered, understanding that the boundary between self and source was an illusion. Every breath, every thought, every moment was already complete. The separation story, that narrative of lack and limitation, began to dissolve like mist under morning sunlight. When you stop trying to push the river and instead become the river, life responds with a grace beyond calculation. Eva discovered this not through effort, but through surrender. Her consciousness expanded, revealing a landscape where lack was impossible, where resources were as natural and endless as breath itself. Roland Gale's experience paralleled her awakening. During a deep meditation, he experienced a profound merging of awareness. Suddenly, every heartbeat in the world became his own, a rhythmic symphony of interconnected life. Abundance was no longer something to chase, but a current he was intrinsically part of, pouring through him without resistance. The interpretation was simple yet revolutionary. Oneness is completion itself. When you recognize that you are not an isolated entity struggling against the world, but a vital expression of the world's own unfolding, prosperity becomes your natural state. This understanding transcends traditional concepts of wealth. It's not about money or possessions, but about recognizing the infinite potential that flows through all of existence, and recognizing that you are that potential. As you surrender to dreams, breathe as the entire universe breathing through you, wealth without borders, peace without end. Part 5. The Infinite Expansion. Chapter 41. The Door of Allowance. In the grand tapestry of prosperity, you are learning that the most powerful action is often non-action, a sacred art of allowing that transforms struggle into grace. Your journey, like Flora June's, reveals a profound truth. Prosperity flows not through forceful pursuit, but through the gentle opening of your inner channels. You have been taught to believe that success demands relentless effort, that abundance is a battlefield to be conquered. But the universe whispers a different wisdom, one of surrender, of trust, of creating spaciousness where miracles can breathe. Flora June knew this pattern intimately. For years, she had been a master of strategic planning, of pushing and plotting, of constructing elaborate schemes to attract prosperity. Her life was a complex machinery of effort, each gear turning with calculated precision. Yet for all her meticulous engineering, abundance remained elusive, a distant mirage shimmering just beyond her grasp. The transformation began when she realized that her very pursuit was blocking the very thing she desired. Prosperity, she discovered, is not something to be chased, but something to be allowed. Like a shy woodland creature, it appears only when you create a quiet, welcoming space. When Flora loosened her grip, something miraculous occurred. Ideas began to flow like gentle streams. Helpers and opportunities arrived not through her manipulation, but through her openness. Her projects, once strained and effortful, now unfolded with an organic elegance that surprised even her. Ambrose Neal's story echoed this universal principle. As a painter, he had long wrestled with inspiration, forcing canvases into submission, demanding creativity appear on command. But when he learned to step back, to create space rather than pressure, his art transformed. His finest work emerged not through struggle, but through humble allowance, letting beauty arrive on its own schedule, unbidden and pure. The interpretation is both simple and profound. Allowing is unconditional trust in motion. It is the quiet recognition that the universe contains infinite intelligence far beyond your limited perspective. When you stop trying to control every outcome, you open doorways to possibilities you could never have imagined through effort alone. This is not passive resignation, but an active state of receptivity. You are not giving up. You are tuning in. You are becoming a clear channel through which abundance can flow, unobstructed by the narrow corridors of your previous thinking. As rest approaches, sense yourself stepping aside while infinite goodness walks in, filling your inner home with gentle grace. Chapter 42. The Breath of Simplicity. In the vast landscape of life's unfolding, you have been taught that complexity is a badge of honor, a proof of your intellectual prowess. Yet, there is a deeper wisdom waiting to be discovered, a wisdom that whispers of simplicity as the true gateway to abundance. Georgia Nell was once entangled in the intricate web of her own making. Her mind, a labyrinth of strategies, plans, and overthinking, seemed to believe that the more complex her approach, the more intelligent and successful she would become. Each decision was a calculated chess move, each thought a carefully constructed algorithm designed to outmaneuver life's uncertainties. But the universe speaks a different language, a language of elegant simplicity. One quiet morning, as sunlight filtered through her window, Georgia experienced a profound revelation. Complexity was not a sign of intelligence. It was a barrier to true flow. She began to simplify, first her physical space, then her mental landscape. Drawers were cleared, shelves organized, and her mind was gradually unburdened from the weight of unnecessary thoughts. As she released the clutter, both external and internal, something miraculous happened. Space emerged. Not just physical space, but an inner spaciousness that felt like a deep, refreshing breath. Opportunities began to arrive with an ease that surprised her. Where once she had pushed and strategized, now things seemed to align naturally. The lesson was clear. Simplicity is not about doing less, but about focusing on what truly matters. It is clarity, wearing the gentle robe of serenity, allowing energy to move unobstructed. Around the same time, Calvin Ward was experiencing a similar transformation. A financial consultant accustomed to complex spreadsheets and intricate investment strategies, he decided to simplify his approach. He stripped away unnecessary complexity in his financial planning, focusing on core principles of growth and stability. To his surprise, this simplification didn't just improve his professional work, it reignited his passion. The joy he had originally felt when first entering his profession returned. His clients noticed the shift, drawn to his newfound clarity and genuine enthusiasm. The interpretation was profound yet straightforward. When you channel your intention through a lens of simplicity, magic happens. Complex systems often obstruct the natural flow of abundance, while simple, focused intention acts like a clear river, direct, powerful, unimpeded. As evening approaches and rest beckons, you are invited to a practice of simplification. Close your eyes and breathe softly, imagining life as clear as mountain air, simplicity wrapping you as you drift into effortless dreams. Chapter 43. The Lighthouse of Awareness. In the gentle landscape of transformation, you are about to discover that awareness is not a distant skill, but a living, breathing companion waiting to guide you home. Like a subtle river of intelligence flowing through your inner terrain, awareness whispers direction when you learn to listen. Pearl May had wandered through years of confusion, believing life happened to her rather than through her. She moved like a leaf carried by external winds, feeling powerless and disconnected. Yet something within her yearned for a different relationship with her journey, a more intentional, more aligned way of moving through the world. The breakthrough came unexpectedly, as profound shifts often do. One quiet afternoon, Pearl began observing her emotions not as adversaries to battle, but as messengers carrying intricate maps of her inner landscape. Instead of immediately reacting to feelings of anxiety, frustration, or uncertainty, she simply watched them arise, noticing their texture, their temperature, their subtle movements. This simple practice of witnessing transformed everything. Each emotion became a signpost, not a sentence. Anxiety no longer paralyzed her but showed her where her boundaries needed reinforcement. Frustration revealed desires not yet articulated. Uncertainty became an invitation to curiosity rather than a trigger for panic. Leonard Shaw, a carpenter who had mastered the art of patient observation, embodied this principle of awareness with grace. Where others saw woodworking as a series of technical steps, Leonard approached each piece of timber as a conversation. He would sit with the raw wood, sensing its inherent character, feeling its grain, understanding its potential before making a single cut. In his personal life, Leonard applied the same principle. He practiced noticing sensations without immediately interpreting or judging them. A tightness in his chest wasn't a problem to solve, but information to understand. A flutter of excitement wasn't something to suppress, but a signal to explore. By cultivating this spacious awareness, Leonard found himself naturally guided toward choices that resonated with his deeper self. Opportunities emerged not through forceful strategizing, but through a quiet, attentive receptivity. His life began to flow with an intelligence far more nuanced than his mind's limited planning could orchestrate. The interpretation crystallizes a profound truth. Awareness creates clarity, which directs energy precisely. When you learn to listen to the subtle language of your inner experience, you tap into a navigational system more sophisticated than any external GPS. As the day dissolves and night approaches, you are invited into a sacred practice of presence. Gently focus on your breath and let awareness brighten each inhalation until sleep arrives like a light turned inward. Chapter 44. The Smile of Resilience. In the landscape of life's unexpected turns, you discovered a profound truth. Resilience wears a smile, not a mask of struggle. June Beth learned this wisdom through storms that might have broken lesser spirits. When challenges arose like sudden thunderclouds, she chose to find the glimmer of humor hidden within each dark circumstance. Your journey of understanding resilience is not about enduring pain, but transforming it through the alchemy of joy. Laughter, you discovered, is not an escape, but a powerful recalibration of energy. It shrinks fear's enormous shadows, revealing them as mere illusions cast by a mind too serious to see the light. When June Beth faced her most challenging moments, she did not resist. Instead, she learned to dance with uncertainty, finding the comedic thread woven through life's complex tapestry. Each setback became an opportunity to laugh, not from denial, but from a deep understanding that joy is more powerful than any temporary difficulty. The core teaching whispers a revolutionary truth. Your emotional response shapes reality more profoundly than the events themselves. Humor becomes a lighthouse, guiding you through foggy moments of doubt and uncertainty. It is a spiritual practice, a way of acknowledging life's complexity while refusing to be consumed by its weight. Then came Lionel Fox, a businessman who embodied this principle of resilient joy. Facing significant business losses that might have crushed another's spirit, he chose a radical approach. Each night, instead of dwelling on failures, he ended his evening with a deliberate, genuine chuckle of faith. This was not forced positivity, but a deep trust in the universe's rhythmic dance of challenges and opportunities. Within months, prosperity returned to Lionel, not just in the same form, but with greater stability and unexpected grace. His laughter had become a vibrational invitation, reopening channels that worry and tension had once tightly constricted. The interpretation is clear. Resilience is not about fighting, but about flowing. When you can find humor in life's most challenging moments, you signal to the universe that you are not a victim, but a co-creator. Your ability to smile through storms becomes a powerful declaration of your inner strength. Quietly smile as you fade into dreaming, trusting laughter's warmth to seal abundance into your subconscious. Chapter 45. The Legacy of Light. You stand at the crossroads of impact, where every thought and action ripples beyond the immediate horizon. Annie Lou's journey illuminates a profound truth. Prosperity is not a solitary accumulation, but a luminous energy that transforms through sharing. When Annie first recognized her potential to create lasting impact, she discovered something remarkable. Wealth was never about personal gain, but about the light you cast into the world. Each kind gesture, each moment of generosity, becomes a seed planted in the fertile ground of human experience. Imagine your life as a beacon, not just earning for yourself, but generating waves of possibility for others. Your prosperity becomes a transmission, a vibrant frequency that touches lives far beyond your immediate perception. Every supportive word, every act of mentorship, every moment of compassion creates invisible pathways of abundance. Gordon Blake understood this principle intimately. He didn't simply pursue success for himself, but dedicated himself to lifting others. By sharing his knowledge generously, by mentoring those who seemed unlikely to succeed, he transformed not just individual lives, but entire networks of potential. The universe responds to such radical generosity with a beautiful synchronicity. When you give without expectation, you create conduits of energy that return to you multiplied. Gordon's selfless mentorship didn't diminish his resources, it expanded them. New business opportunities emerged not from strategic networking, but from the genuine gratitude his kindness inspired. Your legacy is not measured by what you accumulate, but by the light you generate. Each moment of genuine support, each time you choose to elevate another's potential, you're weaving a tapestry of prosperity that extends far beyond your individual story. This is the profound alchemy of true abundance, transformation through generosity. When you radiate goodness, you become a living conduit of universal prosperity. Your actions become seeds that sprout in unexpected gardens, your kindness a river that nourishes distant landscapes. Prosperity, seen through this lens, is not a personal achievement, but a collective awakening. Every time you choose to support, to mentor, to illuminate another's path, you participate in a greater symphony of human potential. Practice. Rest tonight, imagining ripples of kindness spreading from your heart endlessly, each wave nourishing distant shores. Rest tonight with the quiet awareness that even the smallest gestures you've offered carry a life beyond the moment. Like ripples across still water, kindness doesn't stop where you can see it. It travels outward, touching people and places you may never know. In that stillness, imagine each breath you take as a gentle wave, moving through the world with calm intention, softening edges and easing unseen burdens. As your mind drifts, picture those ripples reaching distant shores, someone finding unexpected comfort, a stranger feeling a little less alone, a heavy day becoming lighter for reasons they can't quite explain. These are the quiet continuations of what begins in you. There's something grounding in recognizing that goodness doesn't require recognition to matter. It simply continues, expanding in ways that don't demand your effort once released. Let that thought settle into your rest, not as responsibility, but as reassurance. You don't need to chase impact or measure it. The act itself is enough, complete in its sincerity. So tonight, allow yourself to sink into that sense of quiet contribution, where even in stillness, something meaningful moves outward, steady and unending. Chapter 46. The Frequency of Wonder. You stand at the threshold of a profound revelation. Wonder is not a child's luxury, but the very breath of transformation. Your life has been a canvas waiting for the brushstrokes of awe, and now you understand that reverence transforms the mundane into the miraculous. Mattie Fay's journey illuminates this truth. For years she had navigated life through rigid logic, measuring experiences by their practical utility. Spreadsheets and schedules defined her world, until one ordinary Tuesday morning something shifted. While brewing her customary coffee, she noticed sunlight catching a delicate spider web strung between her kitchen window's frame, its intricate geometry more complex than any business plan, its beauty more compelling than any strategic analysis. In that moment, she realized logic calculates, but wonder creates. Her analytical mind had been a faithful servant, but a poor master of life's deeper mysteries. By allowing herself to marvel, truly marvel, at the web's perfect symmetry, at the precision of its construction, at the silent artistry surrounding her daily existence, she invited magic back into her perception. Vernon Shaw embodied this principle of wonder even more dramatically. An accountant by profession, He had spent decades reducing the world to numbers, but something extraordinary happened when he began stargazing. Each night he would step onto his balcony and look upward, not with scientific detachment, but with childlike amazement. He would whisper to the constellations, "Show me something extraordinary," and mean it with his entire being. The universe, it seemed, delights in such invitations. Unexpected opportunities began appearing. Consulting offers from innovative companies, connections with visionary entrepreneurs, collaborative projects that defied his previous professional boundaries. These weren't random coincidences, but responses to his cultivated sense of wonder. The interpretation becomes crystal clear. Wonder is not passive observation, but active participation in life's unfolding mystery. It is a signal to the universe that you are ready to receive beyond the limitations of your current understanding. When you approach life with genuine curiosity and reverence, you become a beacon for possibilities that logic could never conceive. Your wonder is spiritual electricity, a renewable energy that recharges not just your imagination, but the very creative current of existence. It transforms perception from a passive receptor to an active creator. As eyes close, let wonder dance behind lids like soft fireworks, lighting dreams with discovery. Chapter 47. The Symphony of Balance. In the dance of life's rhythms, you discovered that balance is not a static state, but a fluid conversation between action and rest. Gertie Rose learned this wisdom through years of oscillating between frenzied effort and complete exhaustion, her energy scattered like leaves in an unpredictable wind. Once you might have believed that prosperity demanded constant motion, that success was earned through relentless pushing, through burning the midnight oil and sacrificing your own vitality. But the universe whispers a different truth. True abundance flows when you honor both the spark of creation and the sacred space of stillness. Gertie's transformation began when she noticed the subtle art of rhythm. Like a skilled musician sensing the perfect tempo, she learned to alternate between passionate engagement and deliberate pause. Her work became not a marathon of endless striving, but a graceful waltz, moments of inspired action followed by intentional rest. In her professional life, this meant scheduling focused work periods interspersed with moments of genuine renewal. She discovered that productivity was not about continuous output, but about the quality of energy she brought to each task. Some days this meant diving deep into projects with laser-like concentration. Other days it meant stepping back, allowing inspiration to breathe and regenerate. The universe responded to her newfound balance with remarkable synchronicity. Opportunities arose more naturally. Connections became more meaningful. Her income stabilized and then began to grow, not through forceful manipulation, but through aligned, sustainable effort. Then came Brian Todd, a professional who embodied this principle of harmonious rhythm. He strategically wove moments of stillness into his high-achieving schedule. Where others saw breaks as lost time, Brian recognized them as essential fuel for creativity and resilience. Brian scheduled short meditation breaks between meetings, practiced mindful breathing during transitions, and created sacred spaces of non-doing within his workday. Remarkably, his productivity didn't diminish, it amplified. He completed projects with greater efficiency, his mind clear, and his energy consistently replenished. The core teaching crystallized. Balance is not about equal time between work and rest, but about maintaining a harmonious internal state. It's about listening to your body's wisdom, respecting its natural ebbs and flows, and trusting that prosperity is not generated through exhaustion, but through aligned, inspired action. As night approaches and dreams beckon, feel the rhythm of inhale and exhale, weaving balance through body and soul as you float into peaceful slumber. Chapter 48. The Eternal Morning. You awaken to the profound understanding that each moment carries the potential for complete renewal. Like the universe itself, you are not bound by past patterns, but are continuously recreating yourself. Prosperity is not a destination, but a state of perpetual emergence. Lucinda Ray discovered this truth in the soft light of early morning. For years, she had carried the weight of her past: failed ventures, broken relationships, financial struggles, as though they were immovable stones chained to her spirit. But on this particular dawn, something shifted. She realized that creation does not remember its previous forms, it simply transforms. The universe operates on an endless cycle of renewal. Trees shed leaves only to bloom again. Oceans rise and fall. Seasons transform without attachment. Why then would your life be any different? Each sunrise is an invitation to reset, to begin again with the freshness of first light. Lucinda began to treat her mornings as sacred reset buttons. Instead of reviewing yesterday's ledger of disappointments, she would sit quietly, breathing in the potential of the unformed day. She imagined her consciousness like water, fluid, adaptable, capable of taking any shape required. Then came Truman Dale, a man who had known the bitter taste of failure. Business ventures had crumbled, investments had evaporated, and hope had become a distant memory. But Truman learned to greet each morning not as a continuation of past sorrows, but as an entirely new world waiting to be discovered. He started a simple practice. Upon waking, before checking emails or reviewing accounts, he would stand by his window and whisper, "Today is not yesterday. Today is possibility." His perspective began to shift. Where he once saw obstacles, he now saw opportunities. Where defeat had lived, potential now danced. The universal principle revealed itself. Consciousness creates reality. By treating each day as a cosmic reset, Truman transformed his experience. Opportunities began appearing, not because they were new, but because he was seeing with new eyes. Interpretation. Each sunrise carries the blueprint of renewal. Abundance is not something you chase, but a state you enter by releasing what no longer serves you. Your daily reset is a spiritual practice, a moment of realignment with the infinite creative force that breathes through all of existence. Practice. As night deepens, trust dawn already forming beyond sleep, and in dreams feel tomorrow smiling before it arrives. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. As you close this journey through the landscapes of abundance, understand that prosperity is not a destination but a remembrance. You have traversed acts of awakening, alignment, and embodiment, each chapter revealing that plenty is not something to chase, but a state of being already nestled within you. The universe has been your silent partner, weaving opportunities through the delicate threads of your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. Every story shared, from Lucinda Ray's Dawn Consciousness to Truman Dale's Morning Renewal, has been a mirror reflecting your inherent capacity to transform perception into reality. Your path has been one of gentle unlearning, releasing the narratives of scarcity, doubt, and struggle, and embracing the fundamental truth that abundance flows through you, not from you. Each teaching has been a key, unlocking doors within your consciousness where prosperity has always resided. As these words settle into your subconscious, they are rewriting ancient scripts of limitation. Prosperity is no longer an external quest, but an internal state, a harmonious dance between your inner world and the infinite potential surrounding you. Whether abundance appears as tranquil moments, unexpected connections, creative insights, or material wealth, its essence remains consistent, effortless grace. You are learning to live not as a desperate seeker, but as a serene source, continuously blessing, receiving, and radiating plenty. The river of abundance has found its way back to itself, and that river is you.
If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.